Committee and the Middle East and North Africa Subcommittee. Congressman, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Congressman, what are you hearing about the July 4th threats?
Well, I can tell you that beginning from the opening retreat weekend that we had on a bipartisan basis for new members back in January, the FBI director flat out said to us that the single thing that concerns him the most is the so-called lone wolf attack, the kind of person who can become radicalized sitting in their basement or their apartment, whether it be a suburb of Columbus, Ohio, or New York City, or anywhere basically in the United States or the world. The fact that ISIS and its affiliates around the world is now calling on those people to act where they are rather than coming to Syria and to Iraq and fight there, but instead to strike where you actually live, this becomes much more difficult to combat. So we are aware of the challenge. I think we should be realistic in just what a difficult challenge it is to combat. At the same time, as Kristen Welker pointed out, this is the new normal, and the idea that we as Americans, 310 million of us, the idea that we're going to sit in our homes and be coward and not celebrate the 4th of July just isn't realistic. We have to carry on knowing that there is still that threat out there.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and especially in Philly, where you represent, we have the Made in America concert coming on July 4th with Beyonce and others. Let's talk about overseas, though, Congressman. ISIS has claimed responsibility for Tunisia and Kuwait. Are you seeing any evidence of a direct operational link to ISIS there?
Well, I think that's vague at the moment, although it wouldn't surprise me. I believe that ISIS has interestingly claimed credit for 2 of the 3 attacks. They didn't claim credit as of yet for the one in France, which actually affected Air Products, an American company that's based in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I wouldn't be surprised if the person who perpetrated that attack is, again, someone who's inspired by the overall ideology of hatred that ISIS preaches. So it's interesting, Congressman King this morning on one of the other shows, and he's the chairman of the Homeland Security, pointed out that it's actually both, that we have, to some degree, the lone wolf actors, and then at the same time, we also have a degree of coordination among the different ISIS affiliates. So I wouldn't be surprised if what we're seeing is some combination of the 2.
Yeah. Congressman, how does the U.S. gain the upper hand in the PR fight against ISIS? I mean, they're kind of driving these inspired attacks. What more could be done?
Yeah, that to me, Patrick, is kind of the most frustrating part in some ways, because we're actually the country of Hollywood. We're the country that in many ways invented these sort of graphics and sort of mass media tools that ISIS, a group that wants to return civilization back a couple millennia, at the same time has proved very good and very adept at using the modern tools of communication and social media. So I think that, and I actually raised this at a foreign affairs hearing with the State Department, that we have to do far better at making a real investment online, not just obviously through the traditional ways that we're doing in terms of defense spending and intelligence spending, but actually have a counteroffensive online to make sure that we are also combating them there where they have frankly been far more successful than we have. I mean, the idea that American teenagers in Denver would up and leave and get on a plane and attempt to fight in Syria is very hard to fathom, and yet we see that that's happening.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's about the hearts and minds. Congressman, I saw this, that you recently delivered a floor speech demanding Congress finally put together and vote on an authorization for use of military force, the AUMF. Is that finally going to happen?
I wish I could say yes. We finally, for the first time since I've been a member here, which has only been 6 months, even debated on the House floor, thanks to a resolution that Jim McGovern and Barbara Lee and a few others put forward. That was the only reason why we even had that debate. And, you know, it's sort of the worst of the political system right now, because the president put forward an AUMF. You had Republicans who don't like President Obama very much, who attacked it from the right. And then you had a number of Democratic members that are uncomfortable with what going into Iraq to begin with in 2002 for understandable reasons. But unfortunately, we've just allowed that debate to stop right there, rather than saying in some way we need to craft an authorization that makes clear that we need to fight ISIS, that they are a dangerous threat that cannot be contained, that cannot be negotiated with. At the same time, do so in such a way that we don't inadvertently give a future president a decade from now the authorization to invade a country that we're not even thinking of at the moment. Just keep in mind that 13 months ago, if we had been, we wouldn't have been talking about ISIS. We didn't even really know the acronym. And yet here we are seeing what a major battle that we have to face against them. There's no question that months and years from now there'll be some other threat. And I think that many members are too afraid to vote for something that will have those unintended consequences. And that fear is preventing them from having the debate that we should be having. It is our obligation to have that debate.
I can agree more with you. We need the political class of the country to put their yay or nay on a line there, because we're sending American sons and daughters over there to fight for us. So, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us at Taking the Hill. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.